Your readiness and life's timing have been moving toward the same moment, not in a straight line, not according to the schedule you once imagined, not with the kind of clear signs that would have made trust easy. Still, something in you has been preparing, and something beyond your immediate view has been arranging itself at the same time. Tonight, those two movements meet. You do not have to chase the meeting point. You do not have to earn it by thinking more positively, wanting more intensely, or proving that you have learned every lesson. You do not have to become a different person before good can come near you. This hour is not asking you to perform readiness. It is asking you to rest inside the readiness that has already been growing. There are parts of you that may not believe this yet. They may still be watching the distance. They may still be counting what has not happened. They may still be measuring your life against an old promise, an old expectation, an old picture of how plenty was supposed to arrive. Those parts are not your enemies. They are tired witnesses. They have stood beside you through delayed answers, closed doors, changed plans, and seasons that seemed to take more than they gave. They have learned to look at hope carefully. They have learned to hold joy back until the evidence feels safe. They have learned to prepare for less, so disappointment will not feel as sharp. Tonight, you do not have to fight those parts. You do not have to silence them. You do not have to force them to believe. You can let them sit beside you while another possibility enters the room. A possibility does not demand certainty. It only needs a little space. There may have been a time when scarcity felt like a temporary condition, a passing difficulty, a season you would soon leave behind. But when a season lasts longer than expected, a mind begins to make meanings from it. It starts to call a delay a definition. It starts to call a struggle an identity. It starts to treat one difficult chapter as evidence about the whole story. You may have begun to think carefully before asking for anything. You may have reduced your hopes before life had the chance to answer them. You may have told yourself that wanting less was wisdom, when sometimes it was protection. You may have called yourself realistic because realism felt safer than being surprised by another disappointment. You may have learned to expect the smaller outcome, the slower change, the partial answer, the almost open door. You may have started preparing for loss even while something good was beginning. This can happen so quietly that it feels like personality. It is not always obvious fear. Sometimes it looks like being practical. Sometimes it sounds like, I will believe it when I see it. Sometimes it appears as endless planning, constant checking, or the need to know exactly how everything will unfold before you let yourself relax. Sometimes scarcity is not the absence of resources. Sometimes it is the habit of bracing. The body braces before the news arrives. The mind braces before the decision is made. The heart braces before love has a chance to speak. You may find yourself scanning for what could go wrong even during a peaceful moment. You may receive something kind and immediately wonder how long it will last. You may see progress and search for the hidden cost. You may hear encouragement and quietly dismiss it before it has time to settle. This does not mean you are ungrateful. It means your nervous system has remembered the years when hope felt expensive. There may have been days when you reached toward possibility and felt nothing reach back. There may have been months when every effort seemed to disappear into silence. You may have worked, prayed, planned, tried again, adjusted, waited, and still found yourself looking at a life that did not yet resemble what you had asked for. After enough waiting, even sincere hope can begin to feel embarrassing. You stop speaking about what you want. You stop telling people what you are building. You lower your voice around your own dreams. You begin to protect yourself from the question, has it happened yet? You may even protect yourself from your own excitement. Scarcity can become a private agreement with disappointment. Do not expect too much. Do not celebrate too early. Do not trust an opening until it is permanent. Do not rest until everything is secured. Do not receive without preparing to repay. Do not enjoy without calculating what could be lost. These agreements are rarely chosen in one moment. They gather slowly. They form through repetition. They settle into the mind like dust on a surface that no one remembers was once clear. Tonight, you are not being asked to erase the past. You are being invited to stop letting it predict every future. The past can explain your caution without it becoming the ruler of what comes next. You may have been disappointed before and still be available for something different. You may have known lack and still learn a new relationship with enough. You may have carried responsibility for a long time and still discover that support can meet you. You may have lived through seasons where everything required effort and still enter a season where not everything has to be forced. There is no betrayal in becoming less guarded. There is no foolishness in becoming more open. There is no weakness in letting the body rest before every question has been answered. The mind may ask for proof. That is understandable. The mind has often used proof as permission. Proof to hope. Proof to soften. Proof to expect good. Proof to believe that the next chapter will not repeat the last one. But life does not always offer proof before movement. Sometimes a new season begins quietly before the outer evidence becomes obvious. Sometimes the first change is not in the circumstances, it is in the way you meet them. You stop approaching every possibility as though it has already failed. You stop demanding that one outcome carry the weight of your entire future. You stop treating every delay as a verdict. This is not pretending that everything is fine. It is refusing to call everything finished. There is a difference. You do not have to deny the bills, the responsibilities, the unanswered messages, the difficult decisions, or the practical steps that still need your attention. You do not have to turn away from reality to make room for hope. A grounded heart can hold both. This is hard. Something new may still be forming. I need support. Support may still be finding me. I have known disappointment. I am not required to rehearse it forever. I do not know the whole path. The next honest step can still appear. The mind often believes having enough means certainty. It imagines abundance as a life with no interruptions, no changes, no losses, and no need to adapt. It imagines a state where nothing can threaten what has been gained. Because that state does not exist, the mind may decide abundance is not real. But abundance can be quieter than certainty. It can be the return of options. It can be the arrival of help. It can be the ability to choose without panic. It can be enough space to think clearly. It can be the courage to ask. It can be a useful conversation. It can be the strength to leave what harms you. It can be the wisdom to stay with what is slowly working. It can be a resource you had not considered. It can be the discovery that your life is not limited to the form you first imagined. Scarcity says there is one door, one chance, one person, one answer, one acceptable timeline. Openness begins to loosen that grip. It does not promise that every door will open. It reminds you that life is larger than one door. It does not insist that every desire will arrive exactly as pictured. It teaches why, how to remain available to forms of good that fear did not know how to imagine. It does not remove responsibility. It changes the spirit in which responsibility is carried. You may still need to make the call. You may still need to revise the plan. You may still need to seek advice, learn a skill, protect your time, set a boundary, or ask a qualified professional for support. You may still need to act, but action can come from steadiness instead of panic. A step taken from steadiness carries a different quality. It does not need to prove your worth. It does not need to outrun shame. It does not need to rescue your whole life in one day. It only needs to be the next true step. You may have been trying to solve 10 years in one evening. You may have been asking one decision to heal every old fear. You may have been expecting one opportunity to repair every season that felt empty. That is too much weight for one moment to carry. Tonight, you can put some of that weight down. One moment does not have to save your life. One moment can meet you. One choice can steady you. One new thought can interrupt an old pattern. One peaceful hour can teach the body that not every night must be spent preparing for tomorrow's danger. You have likely known nights when your mind turned numbers, conversations, possibilities, and worries over and over. You may have believed that constant mental effort was a form of protection. If you stayed awake long enough, you might predict the problem. If you reviewed every detail, you might prevent the loss. If you imagined every difficult outcome, perhaps none of them would take you by surprise. But exhaustion is not the same as preparation. Worry can feel active while leaving you less able to respond. Rehearsing fear does not always create safety. Often, it only makes the body live through an event that has not happened. You are allowed to prepare wisely without living in permanent alarm. You are allowed to care deeply without gripping every result. You are allowed to want more without making the present moment an enemy. The chasing state has many disguises. Sometimes it looks like checking repeatedly for a message that has not arrived. Sometimes it looks like asking for guidance, then immediately asking again, because the first answer did not remove all uncertainty. Sometimes it looks like searching for signs in every small event, not because the event truly speaks to you, but because waiting feels unbearable. Sometimes it looks like changing direction every few days because stillness makes doubt louder. Sometimes it looks like comparing your pace with people whose path you cannot fully see. Sometimes it looks like pushing a closed situation because an open one has not yet revealed itself. Sometimes it looks like calling pressure motivation. Sometimes it looks like calling fear intuition. Sometimes it looks like calling self-abandonment faith. You do not need to judge yourself for any of this. You were trying to feel safe. You were trying to create movement. You were trying to keep hope from becoming helplessness. You were trying to make sure life did not forget you. Life has not forgotten you. This does not mean every wish will become a guarantee. It does not mean timing will always match preference. It does not mean difficulty disappears because you become calm. It means your existence is not outside the field of possibility. It means your past is not the only source from which the future can be written. It means the part of you that has been waiting is not invisible. There may be a quiet belief beneath scarcity that says, other people are met, I am delayed. Another belief may say, good things come, but not to stay. Another may say, I must struggle first, or I do not deserve the result. Another may say, if I rest, everything will fall apart. Another may say, if I receive, someone else must go without. These beliefs can live below conscious thought. They may influence choices without announcing themselves. They may shape what you ask for, what you accept, what you decline, and what you believe is possible. You may notice that you have sometimes rejected what you needed because receiving felt uncomfortable. A compliment was dismissed, an offer was minimized, help was refused, rest was postponed. A fair opportunity felt suspicious. A kind gesture created pressure to repay immediately. This is one way scarcity survives. It makes receiving feel dangerous. When receiving feels dangerous, you may unconsciously choose familiar strain over unfamiliar support. Not because strain is better, because strain is known. The known can feel safer than the kind. Tonight, there is no need to force yourself into a new identity. You do not have to become someone who trusts everything, accepts everything, or ignores discernment. Healthy openness includes wisdom. It includes boundaries. It includes the right to say no. It includes the right to move slowly. It includes the right to ask questions. It includes the right to receive support without surrendering your judgment. Abundance is not saying yes to every offer. It is knowing that your no does not end all possibility. It is trusting that you do not have to accept what diminishes you because you fear nothing else will come. It is remembering that desperation is not the only doorway to change. You may have lived as though everything good had to be taken quickly before it disappeared. That feeling can create urgency around choices that deserve calm. It can make one opportunity seem like the last opportunity. It can make one relationship seem like the only relationship. It can make one delay feel like permanent exclusion. It can make one mistake feel financially, emotionally, or spiritually final. But finality is often a story fear tells before the story is complete. The chapter may be difficult. The chapter may require courage. The chapter may not resolve as quickly as you want. Still, it is a chapter. Your life contains more pages than your fear can see at midnight. You may not need a dramatic change tonight. You may only need a new position from which to meet tomorrow. Not bent forward in dread, not leaning into the future with clenched thoughts, not demanding that sleep solve what daylight must address. A little more settled, a little more spacious, a little less convinced that the worst outcome is the truest one. That is enough for this hour. You have spent enough time treating peace as something you must earn after everything is handled. Peace can come before completion. Peace can help you continue. Peace can make a wise choice more visible. Peace can help you hear what panic keeps interrupting. You are not irresponsible for resting while life remains unfinished. Life is always unfinished. There will always be another conversation, another task, another uncertainty, another thing that could be improved. If rest must wait until nothing remains, rest will never come. You can rest inside an unfinished life. You can be held by the bed while tomorrow remains unwritten. You can close your eyes without closing your future. You can release this day without releasing your desire. Desire does not disappear when you stop gripping it. A sincere wish does not need constant tension to remain sincere. What you care about is not strengthened by your exhaustion. You do not have to keep it alive by worrying over it. You may have believed that if you stopped thinking about the problem would grow. But some problems are not solved by more thought at night. They are met by a clearer mind in the morning. Some questions need information. Some need action. Some need patience. Some need a boundary. Some need grief. Some need support. Some need time. Knowing which is which becomes easier when the inner noise grows quieter. The purpose of this night is not to make you passive. It is to help you stop using strain as proof that you care. You care. That has already been established. You have thought enough. You have carried enough. You have tried to control enough details. For now, you can let the day become complete. No more evidence needs to be collected tonight. No more arguments need to be won in your mind. No more imaginary conversations need to be perfected. No more future scenes need to be rehearsed. The meeting point is not a place you reach through mental speed. It is the place where readiness stops running past timing. It is the place where desire no longer has to shout. It is the place where the mind becomes quiet enough to recognize that movement can occur beyond its sight. There is work that happens without noise. There is preparation that does not announce itself. There are changes too subtle to mease while they are beginning. A person can become ready before they feel ready. A possibility can draw closer before it becomes visible. A new pattern can begin with one unfamiliar response. A life can turn through several small, honest decisions rather than one dramatic event. The old scarcity mind may not respect small changes. It wants proof that is immediate and complete. It wants the whole answer. It wants to know the date. It wants to know the method. It wants to know who will help, how the money will come, when the opportunity will appear, what the outcome will be, and whether it will last. Without these details, it may say nothing is happening. But not knowing is not the same as nothing. Uncertainty is not empty. Uncertainty holds more than fear. It also holds outcomes that have not yet been ruled out. It holds help you have not met. It holds ideas you have not had. It holds timing you cannot calculate. It holds choices you may make from a calmer place. It holds conversations that can change direction. It holds courage that may rise when it is needed. The unknown has often been presented to you as a threat. Tonight, you can begin to see it as unformed space. You do not have to fill that space with a perfect vision. You do not have to make a prediction. You only have to stop filling every unknown place with the memory of what went wrong before. The future deserves the dignity of being unknown. It does not deserve to be sentenced by the past before it arrives. You may have survived a long dry season. You may know what it is to look across the inner landscape and see no evidence of change. You may know how the days can become similar when hope has been stretched thin. You may know how effort can continue long after encouragement has faded. There is a kind of strength that develops in such seasons. It is not always loud. It may not feel inspiring. Sometimes it is the strength that gets up, completes one task, answers one message, makes one careful choice, and continues. Sometimes it is the strength that asks for help after trying alone. Sometimes it is the strength that stops pretending. Sometimes it is the strength that rests. You have built forms of endurance that you may not recognize because they became necessary. Tonight, endurance does not have to be your only language. You are allowed to learn receptivity too. You are allowed to discover what it feels like when life is not only something you manage. You are allowed to be supported by the ordinary, by breath, by darkness, by stillness, by the simple fact that this moment asks nothing more from you. The bed is carrying your weight. The room is not demanding an answer. The night is not grading your progress. No invisible judge is counting how perfectly you trust. You do not need to be spiritually impressive. You do not need to feel abundant. You do not need to manufacture gratitude. You can begin exact. lie where you are, tired, hopeful, unsure, guarded, ready in ways you cannot yet name. Readiness is not always confidence. Sometimes readiness is the exhaustion of carrying the old way. Sometimes readiness is the moment you realize worry has not given you the control it promised. Sometimes readiness is the small decision to stop repeating the same painful expectation. Sometimes readiness is a willingness to say, I do not know what comes next, but I am no longer calling lack the only possible future. That is enough. A small opening is still an opening. A quiet willingness still changes the shape of the night. You may not feel a dramatic release. You may not feel anything unusual. This is not a test. Calm does not always arrive as a wave. Sometimes it arrives as one thought that does not continue. One muscle that does not tighten again. One question you decide not to answer before sleep. One future scene you let remain unwritten. One breath that belongs only to this moment. You are standing where readiness and timing can recognize each other. You do not have to see what is approaching. You do not have to name what is changing. You do not have to turn this hour into a promise. Let it be a meeting. Let it be a pause in the old pursuit. Let it be the first night in a long time when scarcity is not given the final word. The dry season has taught you how to endure. It has not been given the authority to define what the earth can hold. You did not become cautious without reason. There were moments when trust cost you something. There were promises that sounded certain and then dissolved. There were people who spoke warmly and acted differently. There were plans that seemed solid until circumstances changed. There were efforts that should have produced something, yet the result arrived late, arrived smaller than expected, or did not arrive at all. Your mind learned from those moments. It watched. It recorded. It built rules. Do not hope too soon. Do not depend too deeply. Do not assume support will stay. Do not spend before the answer comes. Do not relax while anything remains uncertain. These rules may have protected you once. They may have helped you keep moving through a period when there was no room for another shock. They may have helped you stay functional when your heart wanted to collapse. They may have given you a sense of order when life felt unpredictable. Protection has intelligence. Even when it becomes too rigid, it began as an attempt to care for you. The part of you that expects less is not trying to ruin your future. It is trying to prevent an old pain from returning. The part that questions every opportunity is not naturally negative. It remembers the times when appearances were misleading. The part that finds it difficult to rest is not failing at peace. It remembers what happened when you were unprepared. You can honor the purpose without continuing every pattern. You can say inwardly, I understand why you learned this. You can say, you helped me survive a demanding season. You can say, you do not have to carry the entire future alone. This is how an old defense begins to soften, not through rejection, not through shame, through recognition. The mind resists change when it believes change means losing protection. It tightens when it hears that caution must disappear. It becomes louder when it fears that openness will make you vulnerable to the same harm again. But you are not being asked to abandon wisdom. You are being asked to separate wisdom from fear. Wisdom looks at what is present. Fear treats the past as present. Wisdom asks questions. Fear assumes every answer will hurt. Wisdom moves carefully. Fear refuses to move at all or pushes too quickly because waiting feels unbearable. Wisdom can say no without believing there will never be another chance. Wisdom can accept help without surrendering discernment. Wisdom can prepare without rehearsing disaster. You already possess more wisdom than your fear admits. You have learned, you have changed. You are not the same person who entered every old situation. Even when circumstances resemble the past, you bring new awareness into them. You are able to pause where you once reacted. You are able to ask where you once assumed. You are able to leave where you once endured. You are able to stay where you once ran. You have more choices now. Scarcity often hides the evidence of growth. It keeps your attention fixed on what is missing, so you overlook what has developed within you. It shows you the empty space and not the strength that has learned to stand beside it. It points toward what has not arrived and says nothing about the patience, skill, insight, and courage that have been forming. What you have become matters. Not because growth guarantees a particular reward. Not because hardship must be justified by a dramatic outcome. Your growth matters because it changes how you meet what comes. There is no need to romanticize difficulty. Some experiences were simply painful. Some losses did not contain a secret gift. Some delays created real strain. Some doors should have opened. Some support should have been available. Some people should have treated you better. You do not have to call every wound a lesson before you are permitted to heal from it. You do not have to thank scarcity for hurting you. You only need to recognize that it does not own you. You can grieve what was absent and still become available for what may be present now. Both can be true. You can acknowledge that you needed more. You can acknowledge that you deserved more care. You can acknowledge that the waiting changed you. And you can decide that waiting will not become your permanent posture. The body may need time to understand this decision. A thought can change in one moment while the body continues repeating an older rhythm. You may say you are safe enough to rest, yet your shoulders remain lifted. You may say you are open to support, yet your first response is still to refuse it. You may believe a new possibility exists, yet your stomach tightens when it appears. This is not hypocrisy. It is the distance between understanding and embodiment. That distance closes through patience. A new message may need to be offered many times before it begins to feel familiar. There is time. You are not late because one affirmation does not erase years of bracing. You are not blocked because your mind still asks questions. You are not doing this incorrectly because doubt appears beside hope. Doubt can be present without being in charge. You can carry uncertainty and still choose a steady action. You can feel afraid and still ask for what you need. You can question the future and still refuse to predict only loss. This practice is not about creating perfect belief. Perfect belief is another impossible standard. It can become one more way to blame yourself when life is difficult. It can make you believe every delay means you were not positive enough, not worthy enough, not focused enough, or not spiritually developed enough. That is not a kind way to understand life. Your circumstances are shaped by many things: timing, systems, relationships, resources, health, opportunity, other people's choices, chance, preparation, support, conditions you did not create. Some factors are within your reach, and some are not. A calm inner practice can help you meet these realities with greater clarity. It can help you loosen rigid thinking, recognize options, and respond from a steadier place. It cannot force every result, guarantee wealth, remove all hardship, or replace practical action. These words are here to support openness and rest. They are not magic guarantees. They are not a substitute for qualified professional care, financial guidance, medical support, legal advice, or direct action when your situation requires those things. Asking for real help is not a failure of faith. Taking practical steps is not a sign that you do not trust. A boundary can be spiritual. A budget can be compassionate. A doctor's appointment can be an act of hope. A difficult conversation can be part of healing. Leaving danger can be the clearest form of self-respect. Receiving support from a trained person can be one way life meets you. You do not have to choose between inner calm and outer action. They can strengthen each other. A calmer mind may help you read the document more carefully. A rested body may help you hear what someone is actually saying. A less frightened heart may help you identify which offer is fair. A steady breath may give you enough room to say no. Rest does not solve everything. It changes the condition from which you approach what must be solved. This is one reason alignment is often misunderstood. It is sometimes described as though it means maintaining a perfect mood until life rewards you. It is sometimes presented as a performance in which every thought must remain bright. Every fear must be removed, and every desire must be held with absolute certainty. That kind of pressure creates more misalignment. It teaches you to fear your own mind. It makes sadness seem dangerous. It makes doubt seem powerful enough to destroy your future. It makes ordinary human emotions feel like mistakes. Your emotions are not commands to life. A hard day does not cancel good. A fearful thought does not shut every door. A moment of grief does not repel support. You do not have to supervise every sentence in your mind. Alignment is not emotional perfection. It is not constant happiness. It is not the denial of facts. It is not pretending that a harmful situation is acceptable. It is not staying silent because you believe speaking up would interfere with the flow. It is not waiting for rescue while ignoring the next available step. Alignment is simpler. It is readiness meeting openness while timing continues its work. Readiness means you are willing to see what is true. Openness means you are not limiting every answer to the form you already know. Timing means you understand that movement does not always obey urgency. These three do not always arrive together. Sometimes the opportunity appears before you feel ready. Sometimes you become ready before the opportunity appears. Sometimes you are open, yet the conditions around you still need to change. Sometimes the timing is right, but fear asks for one more delay. Sometimes the answer has arrived in a form you have not recognized. Alignment is the willingness to meet these moments honestly. It is saying, I can take the step that belongs to me. It is saying, I can stop forcing the step that does not. It is saying, I can remain interested in life without demanding that it prove itself tonight. It is saying, I can want this deeply without turning desire into punishment. Expectation can exist without a deadline. This does not mean deadlines are never useful. Practical plans often need dates, milestones, and decisions. But your inner worth does not need to be tied to one date. Your whole future does not need to collapse because one timeline changed. You can make a plan and remain flexible. You can prepare for an outcome and remain open to revision. You can work toward a goal without making every day a verdict on whether you will reach it. There is a form of expectation that does not grip. It is quieter than certainty. It says that good remains possible. It says that support can take more than one form. It says that the present difficulty is real, but it may not be permanent. It says that your next chapter does not have to imitate the last one. This expectation does not demand that life move quickly. It does not require you to ignore warning signs. It does not ask you to believe every promise. It simply refuses to close every window before morning. You may have confused pressure with commitment. You may have believed that loosening your grip meant you no longer cared enough. You may have feared that if you stopped thinking about the desire, it would drift away. You may have thought that constant focus was necessary to keep the possibility alive. But a seed does not grow because the earth worries over it. Growth has its own movements. Preparation takes place in hidden layers. Your role is not to control every hidden movement. Your role is to create conditions where possible. To water what you can. To protect what needs protection. To remove what clearly causes harm. To seek knowledge. To make choices. To return when discouragement makes you withdraw. to recognize when a season calls for patience and when it calls for action. You are not responsible for commanding the rain. You are responsible for how you live while the sky remains quiet. This is where alignment becomes grounded. It is not a bargain with life. It is not, I will become calm so that I receive what I want. It is, I choose calm because fear does not deserve every hour of my life. It is not, I will release this thought so the reward comes faster. It is, I release this thought because it has exhausted me. It is not, I will trust so nothing painful ever happens again. It is, I will trust myself to meet life with the wisdom I have now. This distinction matters. When calm becomes a strategy for controlling outcomes, the mind remains tense beneath the surface. It keeps checking whether the practice is working. It watches the clock. It searches for evidence. It becomes disappointed when the outside world does not change immediately. Then calm becomes another task, another performance, another way to measure yourself. You do not need to turn rest into labor. You do not need to fall asleep correctly. You do not need to wake with absolute faith. You do not need to prove that this night transformed you. Let the changes be small enough to be honest. A softer reaction tomorrow. A clearer question. A better boundary. A willingness to read the message without assuming the worst. A decision to pause before refusing help. A moment in which you remember that one delay is not the whole future. These are meaningful changes. Life is often rearranged through ordinary moments. A conversation begins because someone asks one sincere question. An opportunity appears because a person sends one message. A pattern changes because you respond differently once, then again. A burden becomes lighter because it is finally shared. A plan improves because you admit what is not working. A closed path stops consuming your energy, and another path becomes visible. These are not lightning strikes. They are quiet rearrangements. The word miracle, it can make the mind search for something dramatic. It may imagine an event so large that ordinary progress becomes invisible. But some of the most important changes do not announce themselves with spectacle. They arrive as relief. They arrive as clarity. They arrive as the right person taking your concerns seriously. They arrive as the strength to stop returning to what harms you. They arrive as a resource that gives you one more month, one more option, one more breath. They arrive as an idea that changes the next decision. They arrive as a long-delayed answer that finally becomes clear. They arrive as acceptance when the original outcome cannot be restored. They arrive as the ability to begin again without needing to pretend the loss did not matter. Good can be quiet. Support can be practical. Transformation can look ordinary from the outside. Do not overlook these forms because they do not resemble the picture you once carried. Alignment gives life more than one way to meet you. Scarcity insists that only one version counts. One amount, one person, one date, one route, one kind of proof. When you grip one form, every other form can look like failure. But a changed form is not always a lesser answer. Sometimes it is a safer answer. Sometimes it is a more sustainable answer. Sometimes it is the answer that matches who you have become rather than who you were when you first asked. Sometimes it is not the answer you wanted, and grief is still necessary. Openness does not erase disappointment. It keeps disappointment from becoming permanent closure. You can mourn one outcome and remain available to another. You can admit, this is not what I hoped for. You can also say, this is not the end of what life may hold. These statements belong together. There is maturity in refusing false positivity. There is also maturity in refusing absolute despair. You can stand between them, grounded, honest, unfinished. You may still have moments when the old urgency returns. You may wake and feel the pressure of unfinished responsibilities. You may check the numbers and feel fear move through your body. You may hear news that makes calm feel distant. You may see someone else receive what you have been waiting for and feel the ache of comparison. None of this removes your progress. A pattern can return without regaining full authority. When it returns, you can meet it differently. You can name what is happening. I am comparing. I am predicting. I am treating this delay as a permanent answer. I am asking fear to tell me the future. Naming creates space. The thought is no longer the entire room. It becomes one event inside awareness. Then you can ask a grounded question. What is true right now? What step is available? What support would be useful? What am I assuming? What can wait until morning? These questions do not require a spiritual performance. They return you to reality. Reality may still be difficult, but reality is often narrower than fear. Fear adds 10 imagined outcomes to one present problem. It combines yesterday's pain, today's uncertainty, and tomorrow's possibilities into one overwhelming weight. Grounding separates them. This happened before. This is happening now. This may happen later. These are not the same thing. You can respond to now. You can learn from before. You can prepare reasonably for later. You do not have to live all three at once. The dry years may have taught you to scan the sky. Every cloud became important. Every change in wind became a possible sign. Every distant sound awakened expectation. When no rain came, hope felt foolish again. After enough cycles, you may have stopped looking upward. You may have decided the sky had nothing for you. This decision can feel like peace because it ends the tension of waiting. But resignation is not always peace. Sometimes it is hope placed under heavy protection. You do not need to tear that protection away. You can approach it carefully. You can say, you do not have to expect a storm. You do not have to promise flowers. You can remain open to one change in the air. A smaller willingness is often more truthful than a grand declaration. You do not have to say, Everything is coming to me now if those words create resistance. You can say, I am willing to believe this season can change. You do not have to say, I feel completely abundant. You can say, I am learning not to define myself by what is missing. You do not have to say, I trust every part of the future. You can say, I trust myself to take the next wise step. You do not have to say, I have no fear. You can say, fear is here, and I can still rest. Honest words travel deeper. The mind does not have to fight them. The body does not have to reject them. They create a bridge rather than a demand. Tonight, that bridge is enough. You are not crossing into a life where uncertainty never exists. You are crossing into a different relationship with uncertainty. The unknown does not have to be filled with disaster. Waiting does not have to be filled with self-blame. Desire does not have to be filled with strain. Rest does not have to be earned through completion. You can begin to live as someone who respects timing without worshiping delay. Someone who takes action without forcing. Someone who receives support without shame. Someone who keeps boundaries without closing the heart. Someone who can feel disappointment without building a home inside it. Someone who remembers that a dry valley is not an empty valley. The surface may appear still. The ground may appear finished. The years may seem to have removed every trace of possibility. But appearance is not the whole story. There are things the eye cannot measure from the surface. There are forms of readiness hidden beneath silence. There are beginnings that do not look like beginnings yet. The valley does not accuse itself for the absence of rain. It does not call itself unworthy. It does not compare its ground with another place. It does not decide that 10 dry years are proof of 10 more. It remains what it is. Earth holding memory, earth holding depth, earth holding what has not yet been seen. You have been doing the same. Even through the dry years, something in you remained capable of responding to life. Something continued listening. Something continued learning. Something continued carrying the shape of a future it could not yet prove. You did not lose everything that mattered. You did not become empty. You became quiet in places. You became careful. You became tired. But the deeper life in you did not disappear. Tonight, you do not have to force it upward. You only have to stop calling it gone. For 10 years, the valley appeared finished. Season after season, the ground hardened beneath a white, unbroken sun. The earth opened into long cracks. Dust gathered where water once moved. Wind crossed the empty distance and lifted the surface into thin veils before carrying it away. From a distance, there was nothing to suggest that life remained. No green edge, no soft stem, no color waiting to be noticed, only stone, heat, and silence. A person standing there might have said that the valley had lost what it once was. They might have believed that every living thing had withdrawn for good. They might have looked across the dry ground and concluded that nothing could return because nothing visible remained. The surface would have supported that conclusion. The surface often speaks first. It shows what has happened recently. It displays the effects of weather, time, pressure, and use. It presents the evidence the eyes can gather quickly. But the surface does not always reveal what is being held below. Beneath the hardened ground, seeds remained, not bright, not active in any visible way, not proving themselves. They did not push upward into heat that could not sustain them. They did not waste their strength trying to become flowers in a season with no water. They rested in the dark soil, covered by years of dust, carrying a design the valley itself seemed to have forgotten. The seeds were not dead. They were waiting for conditions in which life could continue. This waiting was not empty. It was not failure. It was not a punishment. It was a form of preservation. The seed did not blame itself for the sky. It did not believe the absence of rain meant it lacked value. It did not question whether another valley deserved water more. It did not measure its worth by how quickly it could break the surface. It kept what it carried, quietly, completely, without evidence. There may be parts of your life that resemble that ground. Places where effort has not produced visible change. Places where you once felt movement but now feel only stillness. Places you stopped visiting in your thoughts because returning there brought too much disappointment. You may have decided that some desires were no longer alive because they became quiet. You may have called them unrealistic. You may have told yourself that you had outgrown them. Sometimes this is true. People change, desires change. What once mattered can lose its meaning, and releasing it can be wise. But sometimes a desire becomes quiet because it has been protected from repeated disappointment. It moves beneath the surface. It stops asking to be seen. It waits until there is enough inner safety to speak again. You may have mistaken silence for absence. You may have mistaken rest for surrender. You may have mistaken protection for the end. The valley offers another understanding. Not everything hidden has been lost. Not everything still has stopped living. Not everything delayed has been denied. There are forms of life that know how to wait without announcing themselves. The years pass. Heat comes and goes. Wind moves across the valley. A rare cloud may form and disappear without releasing anything. The air may change for an hour, then return to dryness. A faint scent may rise as though water is near, only for the sky to clear again. Each small shift could create expectation. Each clearing sky could deepen disappointment. If the valley had a mind like yours, it might begin to distrust every cloud. It might say, "I know how this ends." It might turn every sign of change into a reason to brace. It might decide that hope itself had become dangerous. You understand this. There are moments when something begins to look promising, and your first response is not joy, but caution. A conversation feels warm, and you wait for the distance to return. An opportunity appears, and you immediately search for what may go wrong. A number improves, and you prepare for it to fall again. A new idea brings energy, and you silence it before it can ask anything of you. The dry years taught you to be careful with clouds. They taught you not to confuse possibility with certainty. This is not entirely wrong. A cloud is not a promise. An encouraging moment is not a guarantee. One good day does not erase every difficulty, but caution can become so complete that it stops recognizing change even when change truly arrives. 1 year after 10 seasons of dryness, the air begins to turn. At first, the change is small. The wind carries less heat. The horizon darkens. The scent of dust shifts before the first drop falls. The valley still looks the same. The cracks remain. The stones remain. The exposed ground remains. Nothing visible has bloomed. Yet the conditions are no longer identical to the day before. This is how many changes begin. The outer picture may still resemble the old season, while the sea conditions beneath it have started to move. You may still feel afraid, even though you have made a stronger choice. You may still feel uncertain, even though support has entered. You may still see unfinished problems, even though one important pattern has broken. You may still look like the person who was waiting, while something in you has stopped waiting in the same way. Change does not always replace the entire landscape at once. Sometimes it begins as moisture in the air, a softer response, a clearer limit, a willingness to be helped, a decision not to return to the same argument. A moment when you choose rest over another hour of fearful thinking. The old ground is still visible. The new condition is still real. Then the first rain reaches the valley. One drop meets dust. Another darkens the ground beside it. For a while the rain is so light that the earth seems to swallow it without a trace. Nothing gathers, nothing flows. The ground drinks before the surface can show what it has received. This can happen within you. You hear a kinder thought, and it disappears into old beliefs. You experience one peaceful night, and the next day remains difficult. Someone offers support, and you are still too tired to feel relieved. You make one better choice, yet the larger situation does not immediately change. It can seem as though the effort vanished. It did not. The first rain is rarely wasted. Dry ground needs time to take in what it has been missing. The surface may not soften at once. The cracks may remain visible. The valley may look unchanged while water is already moving through the upper layers of soil. Your inner life may need the same patience. When you have lived with strain for a long time, one moment of safety may not create instant ease. The body may receive it slowly. The mind may test it. Old thoughts may continue for a while because they have traveled the same path many times. This does not mean the new message failed. It means the ground is dry. It means it has been waiting a long time. It means care must reach more than the surface. The rain continues, not violently, not as a force that tears the valley apart. It falls steadily enough for the earth to drink. Dust settles. The scent of wet soil rises. The sharp edges of the cracks begin to darken. Small channels form between stones. Places that had forgotten the movement of water begin to hold it again. The valley does not bloom during the first minute. It receives first. This matters. Taking in comes before visible change. There is a stage in which nothing dramatic appears, yet the deepest work is already underway. The soil loosens. The hidden seed absorbs what it needs. Its outer covering begins to soften. Something sealed for years responds to one new condition. The seed does not need an explanation. It does not ask whether the rain will last forever. It does not demand proof of the entire season. It responds to what is present. Water is here. Enough for this moment. Enough for the first movement. You can learn from this. You do not have to solve the whole future before responding to the help that is here now. You do not have to know whether every good condition will remain forever. You can use today's support today. You can accept one clear answer without demanding that it explain every question. You can take one wise opportunity without making it responsible for your entire life. You can let one peaceful moment be complete without asking it to guarantee permanent peace. Scarcity often refuses the small supply because it fears the small supply will disappear. It says, do not depend on this. Do not enjoy this. Do not trust this. Do not begin unless you know there will be enough to finish. The seed begins with one rain, not because one rain promises everything, because one rain is what is present. A hidden root presses downward. A tiny shoot turns upward. The movement is nearly invisible. No one standing above the ground would know it had begun. The valley still appears bare. This is the stage where doubt often returns. You have begun something, but there is no result to show. You have changed a habit, but no one notices. You have spoken differently, but the relationship has not yet changed. You have started saving, learning, healing, asking, applying, leaving, rebuilding, or resting, and the outer life still resembles the old one. The mind looks across the surface and says, nothing is happening. But movement has already started where the eyes cannot see. The root does not ask the surface for applause. It goes deeper. It seeks stability before display. Your unseen work matters too. The conversation you chose not to repeat. The boundary you kept when no one praised you. The money you did not spend from panic. The application you completed despite fear. The appointment you made. The rest you took before exhaustion became collapse. The truth you admitted only to yourself. These are roots. They may not look impressive. They create support for what comes next. A life that changes only at the surface cannot hold much. Lasting change often begins where no one is looking. It begins in the private decisions that shape what you will accept, repeat, pursue, and release. The rain continues through the night. Water reaches deeper layers. The soil grows cooler. The air changes. By morning, the valley is still mostly brown. A person passing quickly might see nothing worth stopping for. They might say the rain made little difference. They might not know where to look. Near one stone, a point of green has broken through, then another, then several more. They are small enough to miss. The first visible signs of a changed season are often fragile. They do not resemble the final result a beginning can look too weak to matter. One new belief can feel smaller than years of fear. One act of self-respect can feel small beside a history of compromise. One honest request can feel insignificant beside a long habit of silence. 1 hour of rest can feel powerless against months of exhaustion. Do not dismiss the first green. It is not required to fill the valley on the first morning. Its existence changes the meaning of the ground. What looked empty is responding. What looked finished is opening. What looked permanent has become a condition with an end. The first shoot does not need to be large to be true. Your first signs of change do not need to impress anyone. You do not need a complete transformation to recognize that an old pattern has weakened. You do not need perfect confidence to recognize that you spoke with more courage. You do not need a solved life to recognize that you are no longer abandoning yourself in the same way. Small evidence is still evidence. A softer inner voice matters. A less urgent reaction matters. A better question matters. A clearer choice matters. The valley does not compare its first green shoot with the full color that may come later. It does not shame the beginning for being a beginning. It does not pull at the stem to make it grow faster. It does not demand a flower before the roots are ready. There are changes in your life that need this kind of respect. You may be trying to hurry what has only just become safe enough to emerge. You may be asking a new habit to withstand pressures it has never faced before. You may be judging your progress because it still requires attention. You may be calling yourself unchanged because the old response still appears sometimes. Growth does not erase memory in one night. The new shoot rises through the same ground that endured the drought. The past remains part of the soil. It is not the only thing the soil can produce. As the days pass, more green appears. The valley begins to reveal what it was carrying. Seeds that had waited through years of heat respond together. Some open quickly. Some need more water. Some remain beneath the earth until the temperature changes again. Not every seed follows the same timing. The valley does not call the later seed defective. It does not accuse the first flower of taking too much. Life appears where conditions and readiness meet. This is true within you as well. One part of your life may begin to change before another. You may become more confident at work while still feeling guarded in love. You may learn to accept help while still fearing financial uncertainty. You may become better at setting boundaries while still struggling to rest. You may feel peaceful in one area and deeply unsettled in another. You do not need every part of your life to bloom at once. Uneven growth is still growth. One open place can teach another place that opening is possible. One new experience can weaken an old conclusion. One honest relationship can show the body that not every connection demands self-erasure. One fair opportunity can challenge the belief that every gain requires suffering. One season of steadier choices can change what you expect from yourself. The rain has not changed the valley into something else. It has revealed what the valley was capable of holding. This is important. You are not trying to become worthy of enough. You are not trying to manufacture a new self that deserves support. You are uncovering capacities that scarcity made difficult to see. The capacity to respond, the capacity to adapt, the capacity to recognize help, the capacity to choose differently, the capacity to begin again, the capacity to experience good without immediately preparing for its loss. These capacities may have been quiet. They were not gone. Soon, the valley begins to change quickly. What appeared as a few points of green becomes a wide field of stems. Buds form. Color gathers at their tips. The ground that held one shade for years begins to carry many: yellow, violet, white, deep orange. Each flower opens according to its own structure, yet together they cover the valley. No one watching the bloom for the first time could fully imagine the years beneath it. The beauty seems sudden. The preparation was not. The flowers appear overnight. The seeds waited through 10 dry years. This is why you must be careful when comparing your visible life with someone else's visible season. You may see their color and not their waiting. You may see their result and not the hidden roots. You may see the moment of opening and not the years when nothing appeared to move. Comparison judges surfaces. Life develops below them. Your timing cannot be measured fairly against someone else's bloom. Their rain is not evidence that your sky has forgotten you. Their color does not take color away from your future. Their season does not define yours. The valley does not become less beautiful because another valley opened first. There is room for more than one season of life. There is room for more than one form of enough. there is room for your pace. The bloom does not erase the drought. The cracks may still be visible beneath the flowers. The stones remain. The memory of heat remains in the ground. Beauty grows with the evidence of what came before. Your future does not need to hide your past to become meaningful. You do not have to pretend the dry years never happened. You do not have to become someone who speaks of them without emotion. You can carry memory without letting memory cancel color. You can become more supported and still remember what it was to go without. You can become more secure and still feel cautious sometimes. You can enter a better season and still need time before your body trusts it. The valley does not become ashamed of the cracks when flowers rise beside them. The cracks show where the earth endured. They no longer tell the whole story. Your old fears may remain visible for a while. They may appear beside new strength. They may speak during moments of uncertainty. Their presence does not mean the dry season has returned. A memory is not a forecast. A reaction is not a command. A difficult day is not the collapse of all progress. The flowers do not argue with the cracks. They continue opening. This can become your practice. You do not have to argue with every old thought. You can continue choosing what supports life. You do not have to defeat every fear. You can continue taking the next steady step. You do not have to prove that scarcity is gone forever. You can respond differently when it speaks. The valley receives one rain and the hidden design begins to show. Not because the rain created the seeds were already there. Not because the rain guaranteed endless water. It offered what was needed for the next stage. Not because the drought had been unreal, because drought was never the only truth about the ground. The same may be true for you. What has been missing is real. What has been delayed is real. What has hurt is real. And what remains within you is also real. Your ability to respond is real. Your readiness is real. Your desire for a more spacious life is real. Your capacity to learn another way of accepting support is real. You do not need to deny one truth to honor the other. Tonight, you are not standing in a valley that must prove its future. You are resting with ground that has carried more than the surface could show. The rain has begun as an inner possibility, not a guarantee, not a demand, a new condition, a different response, a willingness to stop calling yourself empty, a willingness to stop calling delay your identity, a willingness to believe that silence can contain preparation. The seeds were never gone. They were waiting for their year. The valley did not bloom by arguing with the dry years. It did not need to deny what had happened. It did not need to call the drought beautiful. It only needed to respond when a new condition arrived. This is the movement available to you tonight. not a rejection of your history, not a demand that you forget what scarcity taught you, a response to what is present now. You are here. The day has ended. Your body is supported. Your mind is listening. A different thought has become possible. That thought does not need to be large. It does not need to overpower every fear. It does not need to convince every guarded place inside you. It only needs to reach the part that is ready to hear it. There is a part of you that already knows the dry years are not your identity. It knows that what happened around you is not the same as what you are. It knows that a season of limited resources does not make you a limited person. It knows that waiting does not make you forgotten. It knows that caution can be honored without being obeyed forever. This knowing may be quiet. It may not speak with the confidence of fear. Fear often speaks quickly because it wants to protect you before anything changes. Deeper knowing does not rush. It remains beneath the noise, carrying a simpler truth. You are still capable of opening. You are still capable of responding. You are still capable of building a life that does not revolve around preparing for less. You do not have to prove this all at once. You can begin with one sentence. Before the sentence is offered, let the mind understand what it is being asked to do. It is not being asked to promise an outcome. It is not being asked to claim that every difficulty has ended. It is not being asked to pretend that resources are unlimited or that practical concerns do not matter. It is being asked to release an identity. Scarcity may be part of what you experienced. It does not have to remain the name you give yourself. There is a difference between saying, "I have faced lack," and saying, "Lack is what I am." There is a difference between saying, "This situation is difficult," and saying, "My life will always be difficult." There is a difference between recognizing a real limitation and turning that limitation into a permanent law. The sentence you are about to hear loosens that law. You may not believe it completely. Complete belief is not required. Let the words touch the surface first. Let them arrive like the first drops meeting dust. Nothing must bloom yet. Nothing must be demonstrated. Only listen. I release scarcity. Abundance blooms within me. Let the words remain where they landed. There is no need to repeat them immediately in your mind. There is no need to inspect whether they worked. A sentence can enter quietly. Its first task is not to transform you. Its first task is to become available. Perhaps one word feels easier than the others. Release, abundance, blooms. Within, perhaps one word creates resistance. That resistance is not a problem. It shows you where an old meaning has been held tightly. The word release may sound as though you are being asked to let go of necessary caution. You are not. You may keep discernment, planning, boundaries, and wise preparation. The word abundance may sound too large. It may bring up images of wealth, perfection, or a life without hardship. That is not what the word must mean here. It can mean enough room to breathe, enough clarity for the next decision, enough support to continue, enough strength to ask, enough willingness to believe that today's condition is not the only possible condition. The word blooms may feel too dramatic. Your change does not need to be visible to anyone. A bloom can begin as a private shift in how you speak to yourself. It can beg in when you no longer treat every unknown as a warning. It can begin when you let help reach you without immediately apologizing. The words within me may feel difficult if you have spent years looking outside yourself for proof. They do not mean every resource must come from you. They mean your capacity to meet resources, recognize possibilities, use support, and make choices has not disappeared. Nothing in the sentence asks you to do everything alone. The valley did not create the rain. It responded to it. You are allowed to be met by what comes from beyond your own effort. Advice, cooperation, opportunity, fairness, care, time, a useful idea, a practical resource, a person who follows through, a door you did not force. The belief that everything must come through strain is one of scarcity's oldest habits. It says that ease is suspicious. It says that support creates debt. It says that accepting help makes you weak. It says that rest must be paid for. It says that good things are safer when you do not depend on them. These beliefs may have helped you avoid disappointment, but they may also have made kindness difficult to hold. You may have received something and immediately searched for the obligation attached to it. You may have been offered help and answered too quickly. You may have told yourself that someone else needed it more. You may have minimized your need because naming it felt uncomfortable. You may have believed self-sufficiency was the only form of strength. There is strength in doing what you can. There is also strength in recognizing when something should not be carried alone. The ground does not apologize for taking in rain. It does not say the sky has done too much. It does not promise to repay every drop. It receives what supports life. You can practice this in small ways. You can accept a sincere compliment without correcting it. You can let someone help without explaining why you should have managed alone. You can use a resource that exists for people in your situation. You can ask a clear question instead of struggling in silence. You can take the rest your body has been requesting. You can accept that support does not reduce your dignity. The old pattern may answer, but what if it disappears? Then you can respond, I can use what is here without demanding that it last forever. You have already lived through impermanence. You know that conditions change, but the possibility of change does not make every good moment unsafe. A meal is not meaningless because hunger returns tomorrow. Sleep is not wasted because you will become tired again. Support is not false because one form of it has a limit. What helps now is still help. What nourishes now is still nourishment. What steadies you now is still worth accepting. Scarcity keeps the body from fully entering the present. It takes each good thing and asks it to defend itself against the future. Will this last? Will there be more? Can I depend on it? What happens when it ends? These may be reasonable questions in practical planning, but when they enter every peaceful moment, they prevent the moment from being lived. You can plan for tomorrow without refusing today. You can preserve resources without turning every use into fear. You can save without believing enjoyment is irresponsible. You can spend carefully without treating yourself as a threat to your own security. You can pursue stability without making uncertainty a personal failure. This is the middle path. Not careless, not clenched, attentive, responsive, grounded. The valley receives enough water to awaken what has been waiting. It does not attempt to store the entire sky. It takes in what reaches the ground. You can do the same. Take in this breath. Take in the support beneath you. Take in the fact that you have reached the end of another day. Take in any small sign that you are not carrying everything in the same way you once did. There may be more space in you than there was before. It may be only a little. A little space changes what can enter. One kind thought can enter. One new interpretation can enter. One honest possibility can enter. One peaceful minute can enter. You do not need to fill the space. Let it remain open. The mind may try to close it with questions. What if nothing changes? What if I hope again and feel disappointed? What if I relax and miss something? What if I accept it and lose it? These questions do not need final answers tonight. They can be acknowledged. Yes, uncertainty exists. Yes, disappointment is possible. Yes, life can change. And I do not have to abandon peace because of that. The goal is not invulnerability. The goal is a life that can remain open without becoming unprotected. You can be careful and hopeful. You can be discerning and receptive. You can be realistic and still leave room for good. These qualities are not opposites. They become opposites only when fear insists on extremes. Either trust everything or trust nothing. Either control everything or surrender all judgment. Either expect a dramatic result or expect failure. Either hold tightly or stop caring. Life offers more positions than fear can imagine. You can care without gripping. You can trust gradually. You can move while gathering information. You can pause without quitting. You can release one form while honoring the desire beneath it. You can say, "This path may not be right," without saying, "No path exists." You can say, "This person cannot meet me," without saying, "I will never be met." You can say, "This plan needs to change," without saying, "I have failed." You can say, "I need more support," without saying, I am incapable. The old scarcity language turns events into identities. A rejection becomes, I am unwanted. A financial setback becomes, I am unsafe. A delay becomes, I am forgotten. A mistake becomes, I cannot be trusted. A difficult season becomes, this is all my life will be. Tonight, separate the event from the identity. Something happened. It affected you. It may still need attention. It is not your name. You are not the closed door. You are not the missing number. You are not the delayed response. You are not the amount in an account. You are not the opinion of someone who could not recognize your value. You are the person meeting these conditions. You are the person who can learn, ask, decide, adjust, seek support, and continue. This does not make you responsible for everything that has happened. It returns your attention to the part that remains yours, your next response, your next boundary, your next request, your next period of rest, your next honest choice. The mind may say, these small things are not enough. It prefers large answers because large answers appear to promise relief from uncertainty. But most lives are changed through repeated small responses. A person learns to speak to themselves differently. They begin asking better questions. They stop saying yes from fear. They stop spending to numb pain. They stop withholding every comfort. They stop entering situations that require them to disappear. They begin using the support available. They begin trusting the evidence of consistent behavior. They begin leaving sooner when harm becomes clear. They begin staying longer with what is healthy, even when health feels unfamiliar. None of this may look dramatic in one day. Over time, the whole landscape changes. The ground becomes able to hold more water because it has received water before. The body becomes able to hold more peace because peace has visited before. The mind becomes able to hold a new expectation because one old prediction was not repeated. You do not need to leap into certainty. You are building familiarity with another way, a way in which you do not abandon yourself during uncertainty, a way in which you do not reduce your needs to avoid being disappointed, a way in which you do not treat every good thing as temporary before it has even arrived, a way in which rest is part of wisdom, a way in which support is not shameful, a way in which your desire can exist without becoming an emergency. Let the sentence return now. This time, do not ask yourself to believe it. Let yourself become familiar with its sound. Let it rest beside the old beliefs without fighting them. I release scarcity. Abundance blooms within me. You may feel an immediate yes. You may feel nothing. You may feel a quiet no. Every response is permitted. A quiet no may mean the sentence needs a smaller doorway. You can use one of these instead. I am willing to loosen scarcity. I am willing to see another possibility. I am willing to stop predicting only loss. I am willing to accept one form of help. I am willing to let tonight be peaceful. Willingness is enough. It does not pretend. It does not force. It creates movement without demanding a destination. You can be willing before you are confident. You can be willing while afraid. You can be willing while the numbers remain uncertain. You can be willing while you wait for an answer. You can be willing while grief is still present. The seed does not need confidence. It responds to water. Your deeper mind may respond to a true sentence before your conscious mind fully accepts it. This does not mean you should ignore doubt. Listen to doubt when it carries useful information. Ask what it is protecting. Ask whether the concern belongs to the present or to an older moment. Sometimes doubt says, "Look more carefully." Sometimes it says, "Do not repeat the same harm." Sometimes it says, "You need more information." These messages can be wise. Other times, doubt says, "Nothing good can last. You will always be alone. There will never be enough. You should not try." These are not instructions. They are old conclusions. You can thank the protective part and choose another response. I understand why you are afraid. I will not ignore real risk. I will also not treat every possibility as danger. This is how trust becomes grounded. Not blind, not absolute. Built through relationship with yourself. You learn that you can hear fear without surrendering the whole future to it. You learn that you can make a mistake and repair. You learn that you can welcome good without losing all judgment. You learn that you can survive disappointment without building your home inside expectation of it. Self-trust is not the belief that you will always choose perfectly. It is the belief that you can meet what follows with honesty. This reduces the need to control every outcome. You do not need certainty about every path when you trust yourself to stop, adjust, seek advice, or turn back if necessary. You do not need to predict every person when you trust yourself to watch patterns and honor boundaries. You do not need to eliminate every financial unknown when you can plan, ask for guidance, and respond to changing information. You do not need to know whether a hope will become real before you let it bring a little warmth. The future is not made safer by refusing all hope. It is only made colder. You can let hope be present without asking it to guarantee anything. Hope can be a way of remaining engaged with life. It can keep your eyes open to options. It can support the action that fear would postpone. It can help you imagine a solution long enough to search for one. Hope does not replace skill. It can help you continue learning. Hope does not replace SUPI, or it can help you ask. Hope does not replace a plan. It can help you believe a plan is worth making. Hope does not control the rain. It keeps the seed available when rain comes. There may be someone in your life who has also been waiting through a dry season. Someone who has stopped speaking about what they once hoped for. Someone who appears strong because they have learned to carry disappointment quietly. Later, when it feels right, you may share these words with that person, not as a promise that their circumstances will change overnight, not as advice that asks them to ignore practical reality. Share them as a reminder that a dry season does not make a person empty. Share them because waiting can feel less lonely when someone else recognizes it. Share them with someone who needs permission to rest without giving up. Then release the need to know what the words will do. A message can be offered without being managed. Care can be given without controlling how it is received. For now, return to your own inner ground. The rain is not asking the valley to explain the drought. It is meeting the valley where it is. These words are doing the same. They are not asking you to become someone else. They are meeting the person who survived the dry years. The person who kept going. The person who learned to prepare. The person who became careful with hope. The person who is now tired enough to consider another way. You do not have to reject that person. Bring them with you. Let caution become discernment. Let vigilance become awareness. Let control become wise preparation. Let self-protection become a boundary that still permits care. Let longing become direction rather than punishment. Nothing valuable in you needs to be destroyed. It can be given a new role. The part that scanned for danger can learn to scan for consistency. The part that counted what was missing can learn to recognize what is present. The part that prepared for loss can learn to prepare for possibility too. The part that refused help can learn to choose safe help. The part that stayed awake can learn that morning will be met more clearly after sleep. Your mind is capable of learning this. Not instantly, through repetition, through experience, through small evidence. A safe offer is accepted. A boundary is respected. A need is named. A resource is used. A difficult decision is survived. A peaceful night is followed by a manageable morning. Each event adds new information. The mind that learned scarcity can learn sufficiency. The body that learned bracing can learn release. The heart that learned caution can learn selective trust. You do not have to hurry the learning. You are not behind. You are not failing because the old response still appears. The valley did not become green before the rain reached the roots. Let the words reach deeper. Let them pass beneath argument. Let them become a possibility the body can approach. For the third time, hear the sentence as a quiet choice. Not a command, not a prediction, a direction. I release scarcity. Abundance blooms within me. Nothing more is required. The sentence has been offered 3 times. It can now rest. You do not need to repeat it until you are exhausted. You do not need to use it against fear. Let it remain available. Tomorrow, it may return while you are making a decision. It may arise when you are tempted to refuse support. It may appear when one delay starts becoming a permanent story. It may remind you to separate what is happening from who you are. It may help you pause before saying, "There is never enough." You may choose a truer sentence. There is a real need here, and I can look for the next resource. This situation requires care, and it does not define my whole life. I do not have the complete answer, but I am not without options. I can be cautious without becoming closed. I can rest before everything is resolved. These sentences do not deny reality, they widen it. Scarcity narrows the field until only one feared outcome remains visible. A wider view restores choice. Perhaps the answer is not immediate. Perhaps the support is partial. Perhaps the next step is small. It still matters. The valley did not need the entire future in one night. It needed enough water for the hidden life to respond. Tonight, you have received enough space for one new response. You do not have to know what it will become. Let the inner soil hold it. Let the quiet do what quiet can do. Let sleep carry what effort cannot. Openness begins where grasping ends. This does not mean you stop caring about what comes next. It does not mean you become passive, careless, or detached from the choices that shape your life. It means your desire no longer has to tighten around one exact result before you can breathe. You can want change without making the present unbearable. You can work toward stability without treating every uncertain day as an emergency. You can remain committed without measuring your worth by the speed of the outcome. The valley receives rain without commanding it. Once the water arrives, the earth participates. It softens. It absorbs. It holds. The seeds respond. Roots move. Stems rise. Openness is not inactivity. It is participation without force. There are parts of your life where you may have confused receptivity with waiting helplessly. You may have believed that being open meant doing nothing and hoping circumstances would rearrange themselves. You may have delayed a necessary decision because you were waiting for complete certainty. You may have stayed quiet when a clear request needed to be made. You may have remained in an unhealthy situation because leaving felt like giving up on the possibility of change. Openness never requires you to remain where you are harmed. It does not ask you to tolerate disrespect. It does not ask you to silence your needs. It does not ask you to ignore a medical concern, financial risk, legal issue, or emotional crisis. It does not ask you to replace practical support with positive thinking. The ground does not become receptive by refusing protection. It holds what nourishes life and resists what would destroy it. You can do the same. You can be open to care and closed to cruelty. You can be open to cooperation and closed to manipulation. You can be open to change and closed to repeated harm. You can be open to guidance and still ask questions. You can be open to possibility and still examine the facts. A boundary does not make you scarce. A boundary protects the conditions in which life can grow. There may be situations where you have given too much because you feared that saying no would close every future opportunity. You may have accepted less than you needed because you believed asking for more would make you difficult. You may have remained available to people who were rarely available to you. Scarcity can make any offer feel precious, even when the offer costs too much. It can make you believe that something incomplete must be held tightly because nothing else may come. It can make you ignore the exhaustion created by a situation because leaving it would return you to uncertainty. But uncertainty is not always worse than familiar harm. An empty stretch of ground can become ready for rain. Ground crowded by what drains, it may have no room to respond. There are times when having more begins with releasing what repeatedly takes. A commitment that no longer reflects your values. A pattern of rescuing people who refuse responsibility. A habit of agreeing before checking your own capacity. A relationship in which your boundaries are treated as inconveniences. A financial choice made to maintain an appearance rather than meet a real need. A schedule that leaves no space for recovery. You do not have to release everything tonight. You do not have to make major decisions while tired. You can recognize what is true and return to it with clarity. Recognition is movement. You may say, "This is costing me more than I admit." You may say, "I need advice before I decide." You may say, "I cannot continue in this form." You may say, "I need a safer plan." You may say, "I deserve support with this." These statements do not create failure, they create honesty. A dry valley cannot respond to rain by pretending the ground is already soft. The water meets the actual condition. The hard places need time. The deeper cracks need more than the surface receives. Some areas hold water quickly, others require continued care. You can meet yourself this way, not as the person you think you should be, as the person who is here. You may have limited energy. You may have real responsibilities. You may be carrying grief. You may be recovering from a setback. You may be trying to make wise choices with incomplete information. You may need assistance that an inner practice cannot provide. This is not a spiritual weakness. It is reality asking to be met responsibly. A qualified professional may help you understand what fear cannot solve alone. A trusted advisor may see options that exhaustion has hidden. A doctor, counselor, financial expert, legal professional, community service, or experienced guide may offer the practical support your situation requires. Accepting that support can be part of readiness. You do not have to know everything before asking. You do not have to wait until the situation becomes unbearable. You do not have to prove that you tried every possible solution alone. The belief that help should be a last resort often comes from scarcity. It says resources must be saved for someone who needs them more. It says your need is not serious enough. It says asking will expose weakness. It says you will owe more than you can give. Some forms of help do come with responsibilities, costs, or limits. Discernment remains important, but fear should not decide that every source of support is unavailable before you explore it. You can gather information. You can compare options. You can ask about fees, expectations, confidentiality, and boundaries. You can take time to decide. You can choose support without surrendering your authority. Accepting help is not handing your life away. It is letting useful resources join your effort. The valley does not become less itself because rain enters the soil. Water does not replace the ground. It helps the ground express what it has carried. Support can do this for you. A helpful conversation does not take away your strength. It may help your strength become usable. A clear plan does not reduce your intuition. It may give your intuition facts to work with. A safe structure does not imprison you. It may reduce the chaos that has been consuming your energy. You are permitted to accept support in ordinary forms. Not every answer will feel profound. Some answers arrive as a schedule, a corrected document, a payment plan, a referral, a meal, a quiet room, a practical suggestion, a person who keeps their word, a repeated habit that slowly improves your condition. Do not overlook the ordinary because you were expecting something dramatic. The flowers that cover the valley begin with water entering soil. The visible beauty depends on simple conditions being met. Your life may change through conditions that appear small from the outside. Enough sleep to think clearly. Enough information to make a decision. Enough distance from a harmful pattern. Enough money to create 1 month of breathing room. Enough encouragement to try once more. Enough honesty to ask for what you need. Enough self-respect to decline what is not right. Enough patience to let a new habit become stable. Enough courage to begin before you feel entirely ready. Enough can grow. Scarcity often imagines enough as a fixed amount that must be secured all at once. But enough can be created through a series of wise responses. You may not have everything required for the whole journey. You may have what is needed for the next step. Then the next resource can be found. Then the plan can be adjusted. Then the situation can be reviewed again. This is not blind faith. It is responsive living. You look at what is present. You use what is available. You seek what is missing. You protect what matters. You revise when new information arrives. You rest when exhaustion begins to distort judgment. You continue without demanding that every stage reveal the final result. The seed does not see the flower it may become. It responds to the condition in front of it. You can respond to this day without seeing the whole season. Tomorrow may ask for action. Tonight asks for rest. The mind may insist that resting is irresponsible when something remains unresolved. It may return to the same issue repeatedly, hoping 1 more hour of thought will create certainty. Ask whether the thought is producing anything new. Is it identifying a step? Is it revealing useful information? Is it helping you prepare? Or is it repeating the same fear in different words? Repeated fear can sound like problem solving. It may feel urgent while remaining circular. When no new information is appearing, the wisest action may be to stop. You can write down the next task. You can choose a time to return to it. You can place the document where you will see it. You can set a practical reminder. Then you can release the issue from this hour. The problem will still exist tomorrow if it needs attention. You do not have to hold it in your body all night to prove that it matters. Your care has already been demonstrated. Rest may become the next useful resource. The dry ground does not refuse night. because rain has not yet completed its work. Darkness gives the valley cooler air. Moisture remains longer. Roots continue their movement beyond sight. Sleep can support what waking effort began. It can restore attention. It can reduce reactivity. It can help memory organize what the day contained. It can give the body a period in which it is not responding to every demand. You are not stepping away from your life when you sleep. You are caring for the person who must meet it. Readiness includes the willingness to stop before you are forced to stop. It includes listening before exhaustion becomes collapse. It includes respecting the body before it has to become louder. Scarcity may say time spent resting is time taken from progress. But depleted effort can create mistakes, conflict, and choices made only to escape pressure. S does not guarantee perfect judgment. It can give judgment a better condition in which to work. You can choose rest without calling yourself lazy. You can choose a slower pace without calling yourself behind. You can choose recovery without explaining it to everyone. You can choose enough for today. There may be people who do not understand your new pace. They may have benefited from your constant availability. They may call your boundaries selfish because your lack of boundaries was convenient for them. They may question your decision to stop overextending. Their discomfort does not automatically mean you are wrong. A healthier pattern can feel disruptive to a relationship built around your exhaustion. You can listen to feedback without abandoning yourself. You can examine your choices honestly. You can repair when necessary. You can also remain steady when the old pattern tries to pull you back. The first green shoot is vulnerable. It needs protection from conditions that would crush it before it strengthens. Your new choices may need protection too. You may need to say less about an early plan until it becomes stable. You may need distance from people who turn every hope into criticism. You may need to limit conversations that leave you anxious and doubtful. You may need to protect your sleep, your budget, your time, or your attention. Protection is not fear when it serves growth. It becomes fear when it closes every possibility. You are learning the difference. You can protect without isolating. You can share selectively. You can ask for evidence. You can move gradually. You can let trust be built through consistency. Trust does not need to be offered in full at the beginning. It can develop as words and actions continue to match. A person who respects one boundary gives you information. A person who repeatedly ignores it gives you information too. A plan that improves through small tests gives you information. A plan that repeatedly drains resources without progress gives you information. Openness is not refusing to evaluate. It is evaluating without deciding in advance that everything will fail. You may have believed that expecting disappointment was a form of intelligence. It sometimes prevented surprise. It also prevented full participation. When you expect every flower to close, you may never look closely at the color while it is present. When you expect every source of support to disappear, you may never learn how to use support well. When you expect every opportunity to fail, you may approach it with so much tension that you cannot respond clearly. A different expectation can be modest. This may help. This deserves consideration. I can learn more. I can take one careful step. I do not have to know everything yet. These thoughts create enough room for reality to show itself. They do not promise success. They do not predict failure. They let evidence arrive. Readiness is the ability to remain present while evidence gathers, not rushing to idealize, not rushing to reject. Watching, listening, asking, responding. You can let something be promising without calling it permanent. You can let something be difficult without calling it doomed. You can let something be incomplete without calling it worthless. This balanced attention protects you from both desperation and denial. The old scarcity pattern may still want an immediate conclusion. It wants to know whether this is the answer, whether this person is the one who will stay, whether this plan will work, whether this season has finally changed. Sometimes the honest response is, I do not know yet. That response can feel uncomfortable. It is also strong. Not knowing keeps you connected to what is actually happening. A false certainty may calm the mind briefly, but it can hide important information. You do not need false certainty. You need enough steadiness to remain with the unfolding. The valley does not declare the drought over after one drop. It also does not deny the drop. It receives what is true. Rain has begun. The future remains unwritten. Both statements can exist together. You can say the same about your life. Support has appeared. More may still be needed. A pattern has changed. It needs continued care. A possibility is present. Its outcome is not guaranteed. You feel more open. You still have fear. This is not contradiction. It is honest growth. The mind may prefer simple categories, abundant or scarce, safe or unsafe, successful or failing, ready or unready. But real change often lives between these extremes. You may be safer than before and still need protection. You may have more support and still face a serious challenge. You may be making progress and still feel tired. You may be ready for one step and unready for another. Readiness respects this complexity. It does not force you to claim more than you know. It invites you to stop claiming less than is true. You are not without strength. You are not without options. You are not without learning. You are not without the ability to ask. You are not without the right to protect yourself. You are not without the capacity to respond when conditions change. Even if the outer situation remains difficult, these truths matter. They change the position from which you act. You are not a helpless observer of every condition. You are also not the controller of every condition. You are a participant. You bring attention. Choice, skill, boundaries, requests, rest, courage, discernment, You meet what life brings with what you have become. This is the meeting point. Readiness does not mean you feel no fear. It means fear is no longer the only voice consulted. Openness does not mean you accept everything. It means every possibility is not rejected before it can be understood. Timing does not mean endless waiting. It means recognizing when to move, when to pause, when to seek help, and when to stop forcing what has repeatedly shown itself to be closed. You may not always recognize timing correctly. No one does. You may move too early. You may wait too long. You may misread a situation. You may need to change direction. A mistake does not exile you from a better future. It gives you information. You can respond again. The ground can take in another rain. The seed can continue growing after a difficult day. Your life is not decided by one imperfect choice. This is another scarcity belief worth releasing. The belief that there is only one chance to get everything right. One wrong decision can matter. Some choices carry serious consequences. Wisdom asks you to take them seriously and seek qualified guidance when needed. But even after a mistake, life may still contain repair, apology, treatment, rebuilding, learning, a changed plan, a new boundary, a slower beginning. You do not have to call yourself finished because something did not go as hoped. The valley looked finished for 10 years. Its appearance was not its capacity. Your current condition is not the full measure of your capacity either. There may be more support in you than this week has shown. More clarity than tonight's fatigue can access. More courage than fear permits you to feel. More adaptability than the old plan required. More willingness than disappointment has admitted. You do not need to summon all of it now. Let it remain beneath the surface. Let rest protect it. Let tomorrow call forward what tomorrow needs. For this hour, openness can be very small. Take in the support beneath your body. Take in the quiet between thoughts. Take in one breath without asking it to change anything. Take in the truth that you have done what you could today. Take in the possibility that more help may be found. Take in the right to meet that possibility carefully. You are not required to become completely open. A narrow opening is enough for the night. A small amount of water can reach a seed. A small amount of trust can support one action. A small amount of peace can change the quality of sleep. A small amount of self-respect can interrupt an old agreement. Let small be sufficient. Scarcity often despises small beginnings because it is desperate for final relief. But the valley does not despise the first shoot. It does not call one flower inadequate. It recognizes life where life appears. Recognize what has appeared in you, the willingness to listen, the willingness to question an old identity, the willingness to consider support, the willingness to separate rest from failure, the willingness to believe the dry years did not move every seed. These are not empty ideas. They are conditions. They make another response possible. You may wake tomorrow with the old concerns still present. that does not erase tonight. The ground may look similar after the first rain. Water has still entered. Your task is not to force visible proof by morning. Your task is to meet the morning as it is, to look again, to ask what is true, to take the next wise step, to use what is useful, to refuse what causes harm, to seek support where support is needed, to stop when rest becomes the responsible choice. That is enough participation. That is enough readiness. The valley does not need to promise a bloom. It only needs to remain capable of responding. You remain capable. The dry years did not take that from you. The night does not need you to carry the whole valley. It asks only that you stop standing guard over every dry place. You have looked long enough for proof that the season is changing. You have searched the horizon, counted the clouds, studied the ground, and measured every small shift. That vigilance may have helped you feel prepared, but it has also kept your body close to the edge of tomorrow. For now, let tomorrow remain beyond the room. Nothing useful is being lost by placing it there. The questions can wait. The decisions can wait. The tasks that truly matter will still be available when your mind has rested. You do not have to keep them alive through tension. The valley does not stay awake to supervise the rain. It does not instruct each drop where to fall. It does not guide each hidden root through the soil. Once the new condition has arrived, the earth becomes still enough to take it in. Stillness is not the absence of life. Stillness is sometimes how life enters. The changes beneath the surface are quiet because they do not need your constant attention. Your deeper mind can continue learning after conscious effort ends. The body can release a little of what it has held. An idea may become clearer because you stopped pressing it. A feeling may settle because you stopped demanding an immediate answer. You have already done the important work of this hour. You have recognized the old posture. You have honored where it came from. You have separated caution from identity. You have remembered that support and action can stand beside inner peace. You have considered the possibility that the seeds were never gone. Nothing needs to be added to make the night complete. The old mind may still want one more assurance. It may ask whether this calm will last. It may ask whether the morning will bring the answer. It may ask whether the difficult situation will finally change. You do not have to make a promise you cannot honestly make. You can offer something steadier. Morning will be met when morning comes. The next fact will be considered when it appears. The next choice will be made with the information available. The next request for help can be spoken when it is needed. You do not have to live the next day before sleep. There is wisdom in letting each hour carry only what belongs to it. This hour belongs to release. Not the release of responsibility, the release of unnecessary vigilance. Not the release of desire, the release of pressure around desire. Not the release of discernment, the release of the belief that fear must remain active for discernment to work. Your wiser mind does not disappear when you soften. Your boundaries do not disappear when you rest. Your plans do not disappear when you stop reviewing them. The people who truly care for you do not need you to exhaust yourself as proof of love. Your future does not require a sleepless guardian. Let the ground hold what you have placed within it. Let one new thought stay planted without checking whether it has opened. You may wake and feel ordinary. That is allowed. A meaningful night does not need to create a dramatic morning. It may show itself through a response that is slightly less fearful, through a decision that is slightly more honest, through a moment when you remember that one closed path does not remove every path. Small shifts can carry deep roots. There is no need to search for them. When they are needed, they can rise. The valley that blooms after 10 dry years does not apologize for the time it took. It does not call the years wasted. It does not look at the flowers and demand that they explain why they were late. The bloom belongs to the season in which it can live. Your life also contains timing that cannot be judged only by urgency. Some things may have taken longer because conditions were not ready. Some things may have taken longer because you were learning what you would no longer accept. Some things may have taken longer because another path had to close before your attention became free. Some things may still require action, persistence, support, and patience. You do not need to assign a spiritual reason to every delay. You do not need to pretend every wait was necessary. You only need to stop turning delay into a statement about your worth. Time is not a judge. A late answer is not proof of lesser value. A slow beginning is not proof of weakness. A changed plan is not proof that you were wrong to hope. The mind has been trained to compare visible results. It looks at another person's season and asks why yours does not match. It sees the color in their valley and forgets that every ground carries different conditions. Comparison removes context. It removes history. It removes the unseen support, timing, choices, and circumstances that shaped what you are observing. You cannot measure your whole life against another person's visible moment. Tonight, let their season belong to them. Let your season belong to you. You are not competing for rain. You are not competing for worth. You are not competing for the right to begin again. Another person's good does not make your ground less capable. Their result may even become evidence that change exists in the world without becoming a demand that you reproduce their path. You may admire without comparing. You may learn without copying. You may celebrate without abandoning your own pace. The valley does not need to become another landscape. It opens in the form already held within its seeds. Your good may also take a form that belongs specifically to your life. It may be quieter than what you once pictured. It may be more stable. It may involve fewer people and greater peace. It may ask you to value time differently. It may look like enough rather than excess. It may look like work that does not consume you. It may look like a home where your body can settle. It may look like relationships in which you do not have to earn basic respect. It may look like being able to handle an expense without panic. It may look like leaving an old cycle and no longer returning. It may look like learning to enjoy what is present instead of waiting for the perfect version of life. There is no single shape that a supported life must take. You are allowed to define enough in a way that honors your real needs. Enough time, enough safety, enough choice, enough companionship, enough solitude, enough meaningful work, enough recovery, enough resources to meet responsibilities and create room for living, enough honesty to stop pretending that what drains you is acceptable. The old pattern may hear the word enough and assume it means settling for less. But enough is not resignation. Enough is the point at which panic no longer controls every decision. It is the point at which you can choose according to value rather than desperation. It is the point at which the body begins to believe it does not have to fight for every breath. From enough, growth can become healthier. You can pursue more without believing you are nothing until it arrives. You can create without punishing yourself. You can improve without rejecting the person you are today. You can desire a wider life while respecting the life currently carrying you. This is a form of richness that scarcity cannot understand. Scarcity recognizes only accumulation or absence. A steadier mind recognizes relationship, how you relate to time, how you relate to support, how you relate to your body, how you relate to money, work, rest, and uncertainty, how you relate to the parts of yourself that still fear loss. The goal is not to banish those parts. The goal is to become a safe inner place where they no longer need to control everything. You can hear the worried voice and answer without cruelty. You can say, "I know you are trying to protect me." You can say, "We will look at the facts in the morning." You can say, "We will ask for help if the situation requires it." You can say, "We do not need to solve this in darkness." This inner response teaches something new. It teaches the frightened part that it does not have to shout to be heard. It teaches the body that concern can be met without panic. It teaches the mind that responsibility can continue after rest. You are becoming someone who can care for fear without letting fear choose the whole future. That is quiet power. It may never be visible to another person. It may change everything about the way you live. The valley did not need to become stronger than the drought. It needed to remain capable of life when the conditions changed. You have remained capable. Even in the years when you felt closed, something in you continued to know the difference between survival and living. Something in you continued to want more peace. Something in you continued to recognize kindness. Something in you continued to respond when a true word reached it. That part is here now. It does not need to speak loudly. It can become the place where these final thoughts land. The part of you that has lived through lack may still believe that opening means becoming defenseless. It may imagine that the moment you stop expecting disappointment, disappointment will return unnoticed. It may believe vigilance is the wall that keeps pain away, yet the wall has also kept tenderness, help, and rest at a distance. You do not need to remove every protection tonight. You can create a small opening in it. Enough for a true word to enter. Enough for the body to feel the bed beneath it. Enough for one useful possibility to remain unjudged until morning. This kind of opening is not reckless. It is measured. It respects what you have learned while refusing to make fear the only guardian of your life. There may be old disappointments that still rise whenever you think about having more. They may remind you of times you trusted a promise, invested effort, or believed a change had finally begun. They may bring back the feeling of standing over dry ground after another cloud passed without rain. Those memories deserve compassion. They do not need to be used as evidence against every new season. A past cloud that carried no water cannot describe every sky. A past offer that failed cannot define every source of help. A past plan that collapsed cannot make planning meaningless. A past loss cannot prove that everything you love will be taken. The mind may know this logically while the body remains unconvinced. That is why tonight does not depend on argument. The body learns through experience. It learns when a boundary is honored. It learns when support arrives without a hidden demand. It learns when you rest and discover that the world did not fall apart because you slept. It also learns when you keep your own word. When you say you will stop and you stop. When you say you will seek help and you make the call. When you say you will not return to a harmful pattern and you choose another direction. When you say your needs matter and your actions begin to reflect that truth, self-trust grows through these moments, not through perfection, through consistency. You may not control when the rain comes, but you can become someone who does not abandon the ground during the dry season. You can care for your resources. You can protect your energy. You can keep learning. You can refuse to turn temporary limits into permanent shame. Then, when a useful condition appears, you are present enough to meet it. You see the opening. You ask the question. You read the details. You accept the help that fits. You decline what does not. You let the next stage begin without demanding that it reveal the whole future. This is readiness in its most honest form. It is not a shining state in which doubt never returns. It is the ability to return to yourself when doubt does return. It is remembering that fear may advise caution, but it does not possess complete knowledge. It is keeping the future open until facts arrive. Tonight, the facts are simple. You are tired enough to need rest. You have carried thoughts that do not need to remain active until morning. You have a body that deserves a period of quiet. You have a future that will be met more wisely by a rested mind than by an exhausted one. Let these facts be sufficient. No grand certainty is required. The dry valley does not need a prediction before it becomes still beneath the night. It does not ask the darkness to explain tomorrow. It holds the moisture that has reached it and lets hidden life use what is available. You can hold this evening in the same way, not as proof that everything will change, as care that is real now, not as a guarantee that every need will be met, as one need being honored, not as the final answer, as a condition in which a clearer answer may later be recognized. The old urgency may resist this simplicity. It may insist that rest is too small compared with the size of the problem. But small care is not meaningless care. A little moisture reaches places that appeared sealed. A little quiet interrupts a long habit of alarm. A little dignity changes the way you approach the next decision. Do not ask this night to become larger than it is. Let it be one night in which you do not punish yourself for what has not arrived. One night in which another person's season does not become evidence against yours. One night in which the ground is not called barren merely because the flowers are hidden. One night in which you release the duty of predicting loss. This is enough movement for now. The mind can step back. The body can be addressed in shorter words. The deeper places can listen without effort. What follows is not a test of belief. Each line is an offering. Keep what feels true. Let the rest pass without struggle. You do not have to repeat every line. You do not have to hold yourself awake to hear them all. Sleep may begin before the words are finished. That is welcome. The rain does not need the valley to watch. I can rest without losing direction. I am more than this delay. I make room for support. I can choose without panic. I let today be complete. I trust the next clear step. I can accept practical help. I honor my real needs. I release borrowed urgency. I am learning steadiness. I welcome honest options. I can revise the plan. I am safe to pause. I let fear become quieter. I keep what protects life. I release what only drains. I can ask directly. I can listen carefully. I can move gradually. I recognize consistent care. I allow good to be ordinary. I can enjoy what is here. I do not predict, only loss. I remain open to change. I can handle one step. I am not my shortage. I can learn another pattern. I accept help without apology. I rest before exhaustion. I protect my growing peace. I let comparison pass. I honor my own season. I can begin small. I can continue slowly. I trust useful evidence. I release impossible standards. I can be helped. I can help myself wisely. I choose grounded hope. I make space for enough. I meet uncertainty with care. I let the future stay open. I carry wisdom, not alarm. I can soften and remain strong. I welcome a steadier life. I am ready for new conditions. I let hidden strength respond. I rest in living possibility. The words can now become shorter. The mind does not need another explanation. The body can be met directly. Let the forehead lose its effort. The eyes no longer need to search the horizon. The muscles around them can become quiet. Let the jaw separate slightly. The tongue can rest. The throat can remain open and unforced. Cheers. Let the shoulders stop carrying tomorrow. Their work for this day is over. Let the arms become heavy where they are supported. Let the hands unclench. Nothing needs to be held through the night. Let the chest move in its own rhythm. No special breath is required. The body already knows how to continue. Let the stomach release one layer of guarding. It does not have to become completely soft. A little easing is enough. Let the back be carried. Let the hips settle. Let the legs become quiet. Let the feet stop preparing to run. You are here. You are supported. This hour is complete. The rain can continue without your attention. The ground can take in water without effort. The roots can move in darkness. The first green does not need to appear tonight. Nothing is late inside this moment. Nothing is being demanded. The mind can drift. The body can descend. The night can widen around you. Thoughts may still come. They do not need to be followed. A thought can appear and leave. A sound can appear and leave. A feeling can rise and settle. You remain supported through each change. The old worry may return once more. Let it find a quieter answer. Not now. Morning will hold that. Not now. The next step can wait. Not now. The valley is resting. Your desire is not being abandoned. It is being held without strain. Your responsibilities are not being ignored. They are being placed outside the hours meant for restoration. Your future is not closing because your eyes close. The unknown remains open. The seeds remain held. The new condition remains possible. You do not have to witness the moment change begins. You may sleep through it. You may wake before anything visible has shifted. Still, rest has value. Still, the body has received care. Still, one old conclusion has been questioned. Still, one small opening exists. Let that be enough. A little less pressure, a little more room, a little less guarding, a little more trust in your ability to respond. The night is carrying what no longer needs your hands. The ground is carrying what no longer needs your eyes. The deeper life in you does not require supervision. It knows how to wait. It knows how to respond. It knows how to rise when the season can hold it. You have not missed your only moment. You have not used all your chances. You have not become empty. The dry years were real. They were not the final truth. You can stop counting them now. You can stop asking them to predict tomorrow. You can let the valley become dark and quiet. You can let every flower remain folded inside possibility. You can sleep before the color appears. I stay open as hidden seeds awaken. Good is finding its way to you. Sleep now. The waiting ground remembers spring.